Welcome to a lesson for CAE. This is the Cambridge Advanced exam. CAE is the exam which is a higher level than FCE. It's a very difficult exam, and so most of the topics we'll be dealing with now, they are more concerned with collocations, and this means that some ways of speaking, some combinations are high frequency. They happen very often, they're very common in the language, and so if you want to sound like a native speaker, you have to use these high frequency collocations. Now today we're going to look at collocations with these adverbs, and we're soon going to look at some other adverbs, and maybe there will be 3 lessons just on adverb collocations, because there's a lot of information to learn. Now the way you learn this kind of information is just by using it again and again and again. You know, there aren't really rules to remember, and you'll never remember things just as a table. A table is just meant to help you so that you can check. But really, the only way you'll remember this table is if you use this table. So let's get started. Highly. Highly is very often collocated with positive meanings, and it's also very often concerned with probabilities. So highly probable, highly likely, highly unlikely, highly unusual. Yeah, these kind of things are dealing with probabilities. But positive words like highly successful, our business will become highly competitive. Yeah, if we, I don't know, maybe make cutbacks. It is highly recommended that you learn these collocations. And they will be highly effective in getting you a good mark. Okay, so we often use it with these positive adjectives. The one negative one which we do use highly with is controversial. That was one more which I found in a book, which is negative. You know, controversial, something is controversial if it's arguable. If there's a controversial question, it means there are strong opinions on both sides. And so quite often controversial things are negative because there's argument about them. But we do say this is highly controversial. Okay, utterly and absolutely are used with strong adjectives. That's worth remembering. They're not used with these kind of weak adjectives, which we can see here. You don't say absolutely cheap or absolutely expensive. You use them with strong adjectives. That's one thing to learn. Please see my video on strong adjectives if you think, what's a strong adjective? And they're also very often used with negative senses, it seems to me. Now, I'm not saying they can't be used with positive. They can sometimes, just like highly can sometimes be used in negative. But for the majority of the time, we use them with negative adjectives. So, utterly ridiculous, utterly impossible, absolutely wrong. I was utterly disgusted, or it was absolutely disgusting. When you see these id adjectives, very often you can use the ing form as well. I was utterly devastated, or it was absolutely devastating. Yeah. This exercise is utterly pointless. Maybe some of you think. I don't know. It is if you're not doing the CAE exam, perhaps. But I mean, it's still useful for enriching your vocabulary. Okay, I was utterly appalled. Yeah, like disgusted. Really, I was utterly appalled to find out that. Whatever. Okay, and it was absolutely worthless. Yeah, it was worth nothing at all. It was absolutely worthless. Okay, now these 3 we tend to use with weak adjectives, and we use them with pretty straightforward describing words. Yeah, cheap, expensive, big, small, long, short, early, late. Yeah, these kind of words we use unbelievably, ridiculously, incredibly, and obviously it gives a meaning of something extreme. Yeah? Extreme. Sorry about that. It's something extreme. Okay, if we move on to bitterly. Bitterly is very often used for verbs. The one exception I could think of, so it's not only used for verbs. You can say I was bitterly disappointed, or it was bitterly disappointing. Usually disappointed, though. But all the others here are verbs. I bitterly resent, I bitterly regret, I bitterly complained, I cried bitterly or wept bitterly. So we use this adverb very often with verbs, and these are all negative verbs, yeah? Resenting, regretting, complaining, crying and weeping. They're not positive. So that's perhaps one way which will help you remember some of these collocations. Deeply is often used for feelings. So if we look at these adjectives, and they're all adjectives except for hurt, which is a verb, and regret, which is a verb. I was deeply ashamed. I was deeply concerned. I watched that sad film and I was deeply moved or deeply touched. You can also be deeply shocked or deeply affected by something. You can deeply hurt someone's feelings, and you could deeply regret something, just as you can bitterly regret something. Okay, the last group we're going to look at is strongly. Strongly is used for verbs, and it's very often used for when you're giving your opinion. These verbs are about opinion. You strongly oppose something because your opinion is against it. So strongly oppose, strongly influence. Now look, these are all verbs. Strongly influence, strongly believe, strongly deny, strongly recommend. Strongly condemn something. There's a good word for when you think that something is wrong, morally wrong, you condemn it. Strongly argue for something. Strongly, let's put some prepositions here just to remind you. Argue for something, strongly object to something, strongly support something. This could strongly suggest something. And when you're describing graphs or something like that, you can say that axis A correlates to axis B. It strongly correlates to axis B. Okay, so you can talk about strong correlations, strongly correlating. Okay, I hope that is clear. If you have any questions about adverb collocations, please put them under the video. I'll try to answer them. As long as I'm around and I have time, I will answer them. I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson, and I hope to see you all soon for lesson number 2. Thanks for watching.